Right now at 10, new details are revealed after a crash kills a Cottage Grove mother, why police suggest the incident was intentional.
And funding is cut for hundreds of Wisconsin programs focused on community service, the impact being seen at local nonprofits.
Plus, connecting Madison police officers and local kids, how the Milwaukee Brewers are helping law enforcement achieve their goals. That is all coming up on News 3 Now at 10, live here in Madison. Good evening and thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Sarah Carlson.
And I'm Eric Franke. The man accused of hitting a family with his vehicle in Cottage Grove, killing one person and injuring two last week, has now officially been charged.
Those charges suggest the man was acting intentionally when he crashed into the victims, identified as the Hansen family. Our Maddie Heimsch joins us now with a closer look at those charges and details from the moment the crash occurred.
Jeffrey Endress of Cottage Grove has been charged with first-degree intentional homicide, 2 counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide, and a count of mistreatment of animals. These charges are different from the initial charges he faced last week, all of which were categorized as reckless. This criminal complaint gives us insight into the police's investigation into his motives, leading to those intentional charges we're seeing today. According to the criminal complaint, a juvenile court proceeding was underway in which the Hansen's child was accused of sensitive crimes, in which the child was abusing Endress's child. On the afternoon of April 28th, last Monday, Endress received records from the Cottage Grove Police Department detailing those sensitive crimes. And just hours later, Endress drove into 3 members of the Hansen family, one of them being the child involved in that juvenile case. Dr. Cammie Hansen died in the crash, and that child required surgery for serious injuries. Witnesses say the car drove straight into them and appeared to be, quote, absolutely flying toward the family. Now, according to the complaint, the dad and husband of the Hansen family told police he was confident the man was intentionally trying to kill the family. When police asked Endress about the crash at the scene, he said he was, quote, having a bad day. Endress's preliminary hearing is scheduled for May 14th.
Maddie, thank you. The 70s are on the way to southern Wisconsin.
That's right. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington joins us now from our weather patio on the southwest side with more.
Yeah, and I probably don't even need the jacket out here right now. It's so nice out here. Light winds, temperatures very close to 60, and there's our first 70-degree day. I actually bumped this up from our 5 o'clock and our 6 o'clock newscast. We're going to go to 74 for high temperature on Tuesday. A little blip, a little cool down, back to normal. I'll explain in Maine weather why we have that little blip in the 10-day forecast here of temperatures. And then how about trying on highs up near 80 degrees on for size as we head out into next week. So there's that 74 Madison, 74 Janesville, a little cooler towards the lake. That's your hint about the cooler days coming on Wednesday going into Thursday into Friday. But some areas may be approaching 80 degrees over parts of southwest Wisconsin. Right now, 54 here in Madison. A little cooler to the south and east, where today was a bit on the cooler side. Clouds and a couple rain showers and sprinkles hung on a bit south and east of Madison. North and west of Madison, though, they broke into sunshine. That's why you still got temperatures up near 60 up towards Viroqua and up towards La Crosse. 54 Madison, 57 Cross Plains, 54 down to the south in Belleville, and 56 to the north in Waunakee. And how about this for the 3 things you need to know? That nice day Tuesday, but what's the cause of Wednesday and Thursday, even going into Friday, being a little cooler before we warm up? That cause and answer in just a moment.
All right, Alex, thank you. The Columbus, Ohio police officers who shot and killed a man in Milwaukee during last summer's Republican National Convention will not be charged. The 14 officers were providing crowd control. That's when the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office says they spotted Samuel Sharp walking toward a group of people with knives in each hand. Officers say Sharp did not drop the knives when ordered and continually lunged at a man. 5 officers opened fire, killing Sharp. The Milwaukee County DA says the officers had a reasonable concern for the safety of the man Sharp was approaching.
At the state capitol today, hundreds gathered to share stories about their missing and murdered relatives. It's a show of strength for members of the community and an opportunity to bring attention to those with missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. The group is asking for more support for families impacted by the violence.
We need to keep up the momentum because we need to keep saying their names. Our missing and murdered loved ones, our relatives. We need to keep saying their names.
The group passed around a petition to create a specialized Wisconsin license plate to remember missing and murdered Indigenous women, while also wrapping red cloth around the Capitol.
Wisconsinites with disabilities are gearing up for a popular summer camp, one that was put in jeopardy after nearly $400 million in AmeriCorps grant funding nationwide was terminated by the Department of Government Efficiency.
Our Merrill Hubbard sat down with nonprofit and state leaders to learn more about the impact of these funding cuts.
You know, we've been through funding loss before, and so we can deal with that piece of it. Some of the abruptness of this is what really created some challenges.
Paul Leverance is the president and CEO of Easter Seals Wisconsin, a nonprofit that gives year-round programs and summer camps for people with disabilities. It's one of more than 25 Wisconsin programs that use AmeriCorps service members.
You don't get those opportunities as young people very often to really see how you personally can have that kind of an impact. And AmeriCorps created that opportunity.
As of April 25th, Serve Wisconsin says the federal government eliminated all $14 million in AmeriCorps funding for the state.
You know, I was shocked.
Jeannie Duffy, executive director of Serve Wisconsin, says the funding cut forced 800 AmeriCorps members in Wisconsin to stop serving immediately.
It's been hard, and you know, we're part of state government. So we're working with the state.
Wisconsin has joined a multi-state lawsuit challenging the federal government's decision. But while the case moves forward, nonprofits are left scrambling to cover critical services. For Easter Seals, that meant figuring out how to bring back 13 of their service members whose positions were terminated just weeks before summer camp.
We can't lead from a position of fear. We have to lead from a position, you know, of looking for opportunities, solving the problems, and dealing with the pieces that are in front of us. So we found a way to bring those people back.
For now, Leverance says they're trying to make up for lost funds, but they won't let it cost them their summer camp.
We have 1,000 people that can't go somewhere else that want to come to our camps for the summer. We don't have an option of not figuring this out.
Reporting in Madison, Merrill Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Merrill, thank you. Cuts to U.S. weather and climate research may put forecasting services in jeopardy as hurricane season nears. The National Weather Service is headed into hurricane season with 30 of its 122 weather forecast offices lacking their most experienced official, known as the meteorologist in charge. These include offices covering New York City, Cleveland, Houston, and Tampa.
Don't have that position filled, you're basically asking other members of the management team to step up and do those things. And when the weather is getting very active, it's very hard to keep up with that.
Further cuts to NOAA are in the works, though according to internal federal documents, the NWS may not suffer the brunt of that next round.
Attorney General Josh Kaul is joining a lawsuit to stop the dismantling of the Health and Human Services Department. In the lawsuit, 19 attorneys general say the restructuring of HHS threatens to undermine the nation's health system. And they add that these actions are in violation of hundreds of federal statutes and regulations as well. Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. says he is seeking to streamline the nation's public health agencies and reduce redundancies across them.
A new study shows chemicals found in many plastic products in our homes are linked to heart disease deaths around the world. Doctors say PFAS or forever chemicals make products more durable and more flexible. But a new global study found they may also have contributed to more than 10% of all global mortality from heart disease in 2018 among men and women ages 55 to 64.
Which I just find extraordinary because, again, we spend our whole lives eating right, exercising, doing all these things. These chemicals, for a lot of people, they just have tremendous exposure to them.
The doctors say there are ways to limit exposure to those chemicals, like avoiding eating out of plastics and microwaving or warming plastics in your appliances.
Starting today, the Department of Education says student loan borrowers who do not pay on time could damage their credit scores and even have their wages garnished. Student loan law experts say job cuts at the Department of Education have left the loan system in disarray. The Education Department under President Trump blames the former administration.
With all of the chaos right now, it is exceptionally cruel to start these draconian collection tactics.
Experts say impacted borrowers should take detailed records, including screenshots of their account and payment information, and they should not hesitate to reach out to their members of Congress for casework help.
President Trump announcing today Washington, D.C. will host the 2027 NFL Draft. The president said the draft will be staged on the National Mall. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell expects well over 1 million people to attend the draft in D.C. That would be a new record for draft attendance. About 600,000 attended the NFL Draft just last weekend, of course, in Green Bay.
Well, the Brewers are partnering with the Madison Police Department. The collaboration will distribute baseball cards to kids in the community. It's an expansion of a program already existing between the Brewers and the Milwaukee Police Department. The goal of the partnership is to connect officers with the youth through their mutual love for baseball.
You know, these are little interactions and create bonding, create relationships, and maybe create partnerships that the kids feel comfortable with police officers, and they get excited about the Brewers and learn more about the team and become fans.
So the new cards will feature fan favorites including Christian Yelich, Jackson Chourio, and William Contreras.
Fort McCoy is postponing its annual Armed Forces Day Open House. The Army Reserve making the announcement today. The open house was originally scheduled for May 17th, but it will be moved to later this year. Officials are citing staffing shortages and also construction along Highway 21 as the reasons for this delay. A new date has yet to be announced.
And coming up on News 3 now at 10, jury selection begins in the trial against Sean Diddy Combs.
And the Trump administration may soon pay illegal migrants to leave the country. This as the president is proposing reopening the prison at Alcatraz. That's next.
You're watching News 3 now at 10.
Welcome back to our studio here in Madison. Jury selection is underway right now in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs.
The entertainment mogul has been in custody since September on federal charges and has entered a not guilty plea. Prospective jurors are being asked questions such as whether they've been victims of a crime or have feelings concerning violence and sexual assault. Combs is facing 5 charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Prosecutors claim Combs drugged his alleged victims and forced them to engage in sexual acts.
This is about this individual using a business to run a criminal enterprise.
Now, last week, Combs rejected a plea deal. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. And the White House announcing a new plan to encourage migrants to self-deport.
And the president says he had nothing to do with the now viral AI-generated photo showing him dressed as the Pope. Reporter Taureen Small has more.
Everyone in the world is going to be watching.
At an Oval Office event on Monday, the president discussed an update to the administration's deportation policy. The White House is offering $1,000 stipends to migrants who are in the U.S. illegally and travel assistance if they self-deport to their own countries.
We're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from.
The Department of Homeland Security says the money would be paid after U.S. officials confirm self-deportation through the CBP Home app.
If you leave on your own, you can take advantage of legal programs, come back.
Also on Monday, a spokesperson for the Department of Justice says the Bureau of Prisons is working towards rebuilding and opening Alcatraz, a day after President Trump said he wants it to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. The famed island prison has been closed for about 60 years because it was too expensive to maintain. Visitors to Alcatraz said they were surprised by the president's decision.
I just think it's silly, because there's so many more things that actually need to be done.
I don't think it's going to be a great idea for the amount of work that this would have to be.
In other White House news, the president is distancing himself from an AI-generated image posted to his social media account late Friday, showing himself dressed as a pope. A number of Catholics said the image was offensive, particularly so soon after Pope Francis's death. On Monday, the president said he had nothing to do with the image. The conclave in which cardinals will elect a new pope gets underway at the Vatican on Wednesday. Taureen Small, CBS News, the White House.
Israeli officials say a new plan has been approved to seize all territory in Gaza and then occupy it indefinitely. Critics inside Israel, most notably the hostages and the Missing Families Forum, have lashed out at the plan. If implemented, hundreds of thousands of already displaced Palestinians will be pushed to southern Gaza. For 2 months, Israel has blocked all food, water, and medicine from entering the Palestinian territory.
Well, today is Cinco de Mayo, or May 5th, and it is not Mexican Independence Day. That falls on September 16th. Cinco de Mayo commemorates the Mexican Army's victory over French forces at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. The Mexican Army won despite being smaller and ill-equipped. In Mexico, Cinco de Mayo is observed with political speeches and battle reenactments. The day has evolved into one to celebrate Hispanic heritage.
Warmer temperatures on the way for the Madison region, but how long will they stick around?
Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington joins us now with the answer.
Yeah, a little bit of a roller coaster with our temperatures this week. A mild Tuesday, that's part of the 3 things you got to get out of the forecast. Then a little blip here, a little cooler Wednesday, Thursday going into Friday. Then the mercury goes back up as we head out towards the weekend. It gets even warmer next week. Just bumped our high temperature up tomorrow to 74 degrees. I think we'll sneak another 2 or 3 more degrees from my earlier forecasts at 5 and at 6. Some places could even be approaching near 80 degrees off towards the north and towards the west. Towards Viroqua, a little cooler out by the lake. And out by the lake, that's a hint of things to come. A little blip, not on the radar, a little blip on the thermometer. How about that? 64 on Thursday and 69 Wednesday and Friday. As we go out into next week, temperatures all the way up to near 80 degrees. But what's going on with this little brief cool down as we go Wednesday, Thursday going on into Friday? Well, let's use future track temperatures. As we look at noon on Wednesday, temperatures up near 70 from the Dells to, let's say, Madison down to Janesville. Watch southwest Wisconsin, and then behind me here, look what happens as we go into the afternoon hours and evening hours on Wednesday. Cool air rushes in off of Lake Michigan with maybe a few clouds and an isolated shower, but it separates temperatures from near 60 in the Mississippi River to the 40s to the east of Madison. This is a type of phenomenon that happens in April and May. It's called a backdoor cold front. Comes in from the north and from the east, not from the west and the northwest, and you often get gusty, cool winds after a mild start, and that's all because of Lake Michigan's cool air, that cool surface air right above the cool lake waters that gets pulled inland, gets about as far west as Madison, sometimes as far west as southwest Wisconsin, but areas further to the west don't get that cool down out towards Iowa, Minnesota. Right now, 54 out there in Madison, a little cooler to the east. They didn't break free of those clouds, and they had some showers earlier today, south and east of Madison. North and west of Madison, temperatures up near 60, and we just break Dane County here kind of in half, 53, 54, and still 57 right now out to the west on Highway 14 in Cross Plains. 40s tonight, little fog, can't rule that out tonight. Then again, those warm days, those warm temperatures rather, on Tuesday. Don't want to forget, we still have a moderate drought situation over far southwest Wisconsin, abnormally dry to the southern part of the state here. So we have not broken free entirely of drought conditions, and I mentioned during the 5 and 6 o'clock newscast. Let's go fast forward here a little bit further into May. Likelihood of it being dry sticking around in southern Wisconsin, and I just mentioned that it's going to be pretty warm. Look at that, almost about as warm as you can get here with our color scheme there in the 6 to 10 day outlook going out further into May. And just how warm are we talking again? Temperatures after Mother's Day of 73 degrees. We'll be approaching 80s, low 80s next week. How about that?
Beautiful.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, temperature-wise. We could use a little water, though.
Yeah, a little bit. We'll take it. Alex, thank you. Zach?
And coming up in sports, the Brewers start off their series with a win against the Astros. The big inning that pushed the Crew on top. That's next on News 3 Now. The 7th annual Casting for Kids is less than 2 weeks away, and like it always is, Saturday, May 17th will be a jam-packed day. The fishing tournament is in the morning, then it's a happy hour, dinner, and a live auction later that night. And Mark Osicki has 3 goals when it comes to this: raise awareness, put smiles on faces, and raise money for the American Family Children's Hospital and the UW Carbone Cancer Center, something the Badger hockey community is always willing to help out with.
I always had that in the back of my mind. If we ever had the opportunity to be able to give back, doing a fishing tournament, coupled with the sports side of it, let's make that happen. And it's been really gratifying. I mean, the people make it happen. Joe Pavelski is incredible. If I don't call him and ask for something, he's mad at me. Jake McCabe the other day. You're all set for he's playing in the playoffs right now. He's going second round with Toronto. And he's like, hey, are you guys all set? Ty Emberson, same thing with Edmonton. So these guys are awesome. All of a sudden we're giving away.
Well, the online auction is already up and running. For more info on that, just head to casting4kids.org. In 6 years, they've raised over $850,000. Now, there used to be a narrative that the only reason a skill position player would want to go to Green Bay was to play with Aaron Rodgers. But one receiver proved that theory wrong. During Green Bay's rookie minicamp, Savion Williams said not only was playing in Green Bay his dream, but it was also his destiny, too.
The whole week before our draft, everybody was always asking me, like, if it was one team you would get picked by, who would you want to get picked? And I told them, like, it would be Green Bay. That's where I want to go. And shoot, just, seeing the area code number just pop up and then, just grinning the whole time. So, just knowing I'm being Green Bay was just a dream, man.
Brewers opening up a 3-game series with the Astros. No score in the third, and William Contreras bloops one in the left for an RBI single to start the scoring in the inning. Now your next batter is Christian Yelich, and Yeli bringing everybody home with a 2-run bomb to center. His 6th of the year caps off a 3-run inning for the Crew. Brewers go on to win 5-1 the final. And Robin Pingeton continues to build out her roster for next season, bringing in Shea Bolin from Illinois. Now, she missed all of last season with an injury, but shot 34% from three-point range as a sophomore with the Illini. We're back after this.
Spring kicks off the busiest time of the year for Dane County Humane Society's Wildlife Center as their rehabilitation program admits hundreds of vulnerable orphaned animals. The center admitted its first young patient, a great horned owl, in late March.
Aren't they sweet? In April, it also admitted an infant rabbit, a dove hatchling, a red fox kit, along with several ducklings. With this influx of patients, the center is holding a wildlife baby shower. It started today and will run through the 11th to raise awareness, funds, and then much needed supplies in preparation for hundreds more babies that will show up in the next couple of weeks. So for more on how you can get involved, just head to channel3000.com.
Very busy time of the year for those folks. Alex is back as we're ready to launch into a warm-up period here.
Warm up tomorrow, 74 for high tomorrow, and then a little blip. I call this the blip on the thermometer after a mild start to Tuesday. We're going to have just a slight cool down as we go on into Wednesday after mid-70s Tuesday. Here's that little blip on the thermometer, 60s, but that's normal for this time of year, but cooler compared to where we're going to be by the time we get to next week after Mom's Day. Temperatures up near 80, if not north of 80 degrees. How about that?
That sounds great. Yeah. Alex, thanks. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Have a good night.